Hey everyone, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We're here in London, and today we have a fantastic guest, an award-winning engineer, founder and CEO of Driven by Us, an organization that's doing fantastic work for minority groups within the motorsport world. Please welcome James Dornor.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and
Oh,
it's just a great opportunity to kind of showcase what we're doing at Driven by Us.
of course, and we're super excited to have you on because this is something that means a lot to us as even within this Track Limits podcast, because this is the things that we want to push forward, and speaking to guests like you guys just make it 10 times better. So I'm super excited to delve into your story.
Driven by Us is a community-driven non-profit organization,
Yeah.
primarily focused on supporting those working in the industry of motorsports and those aspiring to work in the industry, whether it be as an engineer or media focused, or perhaps trying to go down a different route of having a driving careers with our driving academy
Yeah.
and talent identification process. Even esports. So esports is
That's
quite
amazing.
popular with the next generation and up and coming, as we can see. There's lots of talent coming through. So we try to kind of feed those avenues into the right areas of the industry to kind of push them and to show what's possible. So typically, primarily, we go into schools and less affluent areas around the UK to deliver programs that showcase motorsports. So we bring motorsports to these areas and we deliver those programs using real role models working within the industry. So that is really, really impactful, and the teachers and the students get to see the role models firsthand and, you know, aspire to work in the industry. We don't just really just do an impactful day. We go in and give resources and kind of have the follow-up of, right, this is what you can do throughout your academic year or after school club, and work towards kind of items within motorsports to kind of keep that interest going.
Wow. And honestly, how did this idea even come to fruition? Like, where were you? How did this happen? Was there an aha moment before you even came up with this idea?
So I've always seen Driven by Us as a collective. So
Yeah.
it even feels quite strange to say, oh, I'm the CEO or the founder. I see it as a collective of all the personnel in the industry that have had an influence to kind of create this space.
Yeah.
Because we noticed there wasn't necessarily a space or community for underrepresented groups specifically in motorsports. So as a collective, we came together and thought, okay, it'll be quite nice to kind of have an area where we can just talk to each other, have provide that feedback and share that lived experience amongst the group. Also kind of support the next generation in terms of mentoring and 360 feedback. So if up and coming talent in engineering or media wanted to pursue a role within the industry, we would help and support them. Obviously no promises because it's quite a competitive industry, but you know, with our network and guidance, hopefully it can accelerate that and speed up the process. And also once they're in the role, have that support network. So, you know, everyone has bad days and good days. It's how we can support them as a community. For example, if you don't have a family member who can understand what you're going through, you have a community who does.
And what is that vision like now? Like, you guys have launched it. You guys are doing fantastic work with different organizations. What does the next 2 years, 5 years look like for Driven by Us?
Yeah, so we're continuing to build the community.
Yep.
So obviously in the UK and also in the US. So that would be fantastic. And also work to kind of continue to support the talent that wants to progress into the industry. Obviously through our network and contacts, leverage that and see how we can be that diverse talent pool pipeline into motorsports for, if you were looking to get a role, the motorsport teams at the pinnacle of motorsports, which is F1. So obviously working with the F1 teams to kind of develop that talent pool and also kind of share our lived experience and kind of remove the unconscious bias and give the teams kind of lived feedback and authentic answers to how they can change their culture within the industry and within their teams if they're struggling.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And I'm going to take you back before Driven by Us about your career specifically within engineering. You worked with Haas, you worked with McLaren and Mercedes before you made the move. What was that experience like as an engineer?
It was phenomenal, a bit of a whirlwind. So in the back of my head, I was always like,
Yeah.
you won't be able to work in F1. It's unattainable.
Yeah.
You've have comments over your whole
course.
career, like you can't work in the industry. People are like, you don't work in the industry.
Yeah.
But you keep going because you see it as a challenge and kind of persevere and believe in yourself and believe in your ability. So, so yeah, just to go back, I started my career doing a placement at BMW
Yeah.
back in 2009, which
Wow.
was obviously really, really hard to get in itself because I did 50 applications. It was the year of the recession of when you had to apply,
Yes.
2008. So
Yeah.
to start the next year, 2009. So I was very fortunate to get a placement at BMW in Oxford, working as a reliability engineer. And that was kind of looking after the internal fleet of vehicles,
Yeah.
which were about to be rolled out to production. So getting feedback on, for example, the powertrain issues that were found from an internal loan. So the cars will go out to staff members, put mileage accumulation on the vehicles, and then come back to myself, give the feedback, and I would input it into a system, and then that would get sent over to the senior engineers all over the various departments, where it would be body and white, powertrain, electronics, infotainment, which was obviously noise, NVH,
Yeah.
Harman Kardon kind of interfaces. So yeah, that was really, really
Interesting.
enlightening.
So it was actually like you were at that time you were working mostly for consumer side. It wasn't even for motorsport directly.
Correct. Yeah, automotive. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And then how did you make that move into the motorsport world?
Yeah, so after finishing that placement in 2009, I went back to do my final year at university.
Got it.
Again, I was fortunate enough to get a 2-week work experience at McLaren Automotive, and that was kind of like the big moment. So at McLaren, 2010, December, ice cold, really, really wintry. Like, what am I doing here in the middle of Surrey? I'm from London.
God.
It's like a bit of a surreal moment. So yeah, stayed in local hotels, really, really cheap and affordable to, and then get the train. Get the bus, the shuttle bus from the train station to MTC in Woking for those 2 weeks, and then obviously working there as a software test engineer. So plugging into the cars, getting the fault codes off the vehicles, inputting them onto the system and feeding back to the senior engineers at the time. And then that slowly progressed on to becoming a vehicle engineer after I graduated in 2011, which was fantastic. So again, looking after the performance side of things, so ensuring the vehicles had the correct code and software on prior for them going onto a on-track performance test, whether it would be a Top Gear or over in America, with Road and Track magazine, for example.
Wow.
So it's a lot of kind of traveling and working as an engineer. And like you say, that moment was at McLaren, where it was like all the companies, organizations are under one roof.
Yeah.
So you've got McLaren Automotive, McLaren Applied, I think it's called now, McLaren Marketing, and of course McLaren Racing and McLaren F1.
Yeah. And then you moved on to Mercedes? Or was there a between a time, because I know you worked with Lewis's Heritage cars also as an engineer. What was that like itself?
Yeah, no. So obviously, fast forwarding to working at Mercedes to get there, it was a case of obviously working at McLaren Automotive sector, and then McLaren GT had a project which was based in Leicestershire. They brought it down to Woking, and I was kind of pushing to kind of get into motorsports, and I was like, right, they want to kind of branch out and get more staff. I took it as an opportunity to kind of network with the team there. Chris Goodwin was quite influential in myself moving over to McLaren GT. He did all the test development for the automotive cars at the time. And it was great. So did the McLaren GT for a 5-year period. So as a customer support engineer, flying all over around the world, looking after the customer GT3 race cars, led the GT4 sprint car project, which is now in production as I think the Aurora at the moment. But no, it started off its infancy as the GT4 570s sprint car. Which was really, really cool project to work on and lead, again from a systems perspective, the software side of things, the calibration side of things, the testing of the vehicle, as well as obviously providing the customer support for GT3 cars. So the software used in GT3 cars is the same technology they used in Formula One. So that was kind of like my industry experience in terms of how do you go from motorsport level in terms of GT3 cars to F1. So learning the software inside out, Atlas and System Monitor, which is provided by McLaren Applied. was kind of like the key toolings to kind of progressing into F1. Unfortunately, I didn't quite get straight to McLaren F1.
Yeah.
I had to leave and go to Haas Formula One. So
Yeah.
they were based in Oxfordshire and Banbury. Again, but I was fortunate to get the position straight away trackside as Kevin Magnussen's trackside systems engineer.
Yeah.
And it was just a whirlwind. So that was 2017. So
Wow.
it was a moment that I didn't ever think would happen.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. Being trackside, working on the systems,
Yeah.
working under pressure, time constraints, making sure everything was working as it should.
It's so different from the factory side.
Yeah, definitely. And it was phenomenal. I did such a good job.
Yeah.
Obviously, I saw a role I saw a role come back at McLaren F1, and I guess I showed I was more than a capable engineer that I can do it elsewhere, that they liked what they saw, and I was successful in applying for the position. So I started at McLaren F1 in 2018, did the winter testing. Obviously, when Lando was up and coming and doing his...
he was a child then.
his rookie year. And no, it was phenomenal. So working at the factory, did all the races from mission control. So there's a data link between the track and the factory where you have a pool of about 32 engineers that can look at the data and see what's going on, relay live messages back to the track via radio communication. So I was responsible for the data management system and the servers, so making sure that they were working, also looking at the on-car chassis electronic systems and sensors to feed back to the engineers trackside. And again, I was fortunate to cover a couple of races at the track for I think Stoffel Van Dorn at the time, 2018, and Fernando Alonso. So it was quite cool, kind of like being behind the scenes, doing the systems for their chassis at the track. And then of course moving to Mercedes again, didn't ever think this would happen. Crazy. I just applied, didn't hear back for a few months. I was like, oh, okay, maybe they forgot about me. It's quite normal for the interview or the application process in motorsports or F1 in particular to be 3 to 6 months long before you hear anything back.
3 to 6 months.
Yeah, because the notice periods for the staff are either 3 to 6 months, so you don't kind of transfer information from one team to another because it's all kind of
that gardening leave.
So it's quite a long period. So again, I thought it didn't happen. I forgot about it, carried on at McLaren, all happy. Then got a call for an interview. Had the interview, and then from there it progressed quite quickly. And no, it was just a bit of a surreal moment working at Heritage for the Mercedes AMG F1 Formula One team, looking after Sir Lewis Hamilton's Heritage cars that he's raced, which had previously retired.
First of all, we need to know what that is, because I don't think a lot of people even know what these Heritage cars are. What are those?
So all teams have them. So after a year's running on track, the car obviously gets retired and it gets used for demonstrations around the world. For example, Goodwood Festival Speed, or other activities or press marketing activities that the teams like to do. Obviously, Red Bull do this quite often with a lot of their heritage programs. So it's a pool of cars which have been retired, driven by previous drivers. So obviously at Mercedes AMG F1 Formula One team, it would have been obviously Sir Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Valtteri Bottas, Nico Rosberg. If you think to McLaren, you've got the likes of obviously Jenson Button, Lewis Hamilton's championship winning McLaren car. So lots of chassis, all kept alive, kept going. So my role at the heritage department was obviously maintaining the system, the on-car, off-car systems, ensuring everything was functioning as it should. Working with the team there, a great team, to ensure that the vehicles were in tip-top shape for any kind of demonstrations coming up, whether it be Goodwood, Top Gear, or working overseas for a sponsors demonstration. So again, working there was phenomenal.
And do you actually also like travel with the cars, or was it something where you were stationed somewhere here in London and you just made sure everything was working?
So to explain, in terms of the roles, it would be you would maintain the cars at the factory, and then you will follow the car if it was going to Goodwood or going overseas for a demonstration. So the same team that look after the cars in these departments where the chassis are being retired would be the team that go out to support the vehicle when you're running a demonstration. And yeah, all teams have this. So I don't know if you've been to Goodwood.
Yeah.
There's
Oh, we
specific
want to so bad. Yeah.
specific teams that look after the vehicles.
Yeah.
So it's no, it was really really cool to do that role, and
Wow.
very very fortunate. Didn't think it would be possible to kind of be in that position, but
Yeah.
obviously it showed that it's more than incapable engineer
course.
to kind of do the role, and no, to have that opportunity was fantastic.
And honestly, from those three teams that you worked with, what was the culture like, and how different was the culture between those three different teams?
Yeah, so obviously Haas, it's a small team, has grown quite
Yeah.
significantly over the years, but Haas had around, when I started, probably about 65 people.
Wow.
So that same core team would be the team
Yeah.
predominantly at the factory, and the same team at the track.
Mhm.
Because when you go to the track side, typically you can have operational staff of around 65 personnel,
Okay.
limited, and it will be kind of a full process. So everyone would do more than just their typical job. They'll
Yeah.
chip in packing or logistics, or
Wow.
ensuring that the travel itineraries were all okay. Everyone would chip in terms of like building the chassis, building the car, ensuring the serviceability of all the components was okay.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it was really really good. It kind of reminded me of working in GT cars or automotives. Everyone has
Yeah.
more than just their typical role.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, obviously, when I transitioned to McLaren F1, you had your particular role, and that was your role.
Yeah.
You can expand a little bit, but your primary focus was to ensure that you could do your role, and you delivered on that. And obviously, you were there because you were the best person for the role and to meet your ability. So.
Wow.
So yeah, as you go to the bigger teams in terms of how the work changed, it was a case of the smaller team
Yeah.
you kind of chip in with everything,
Everything, yeah.
and obviously you still do that at the big team, but
Yeah.
predominantly you focus on your individual role. And it's the same, obviously transitioning to McLaren and Mercedes, kind of similar teams in how they work.
Yeah. And honestly, what were some key things that you learned during your experience as an engineer that really helped you not only just launch this company, but use those skills to make Driven by Us something that's bigger than yourself?
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's all about a team effort. So
Yeah.
even like you say, it feels as if I'm the person at the
Yeah.
front. I don't feel that at all.
Yeah.
I feel as if it's a
Community.
collective, a community, a team effort. There's accountability. We have core values. Everyone is kind of working towards the same mission, the same goal, the same aspirations. We're not here to kind of compete with everyone. We're here to kind of show the support and be a collective and drive things forward.
Yeah.
So whether it's influencing ED&I policies or giving STEM programs to those who don't have access to motorsports, we want to do it collectively. We don't want to do it individually, because together as a group, you move quicker
Yeah.
rather than doing it individually.
Of
And that's
course.
what we try to kind of embed within the group.
Yeah.
I think when we first started Driven by Us, we had an initial meeting where 50 members came down, and this was at Motorsport UK.
Yeah.
And we had around, yeah, like I said, 50 members, and we developed themes, and these themes were developed from the community and what they wanted. So they wanted a community to start off with,
Yeah.
which is what we've built. They wanted representation within the industry because they felt that lacked, and they wanted more inclusivity. So they wanted to be included in the various aspects of their teams specifically, and also the industry to kind of recognize them. So not only forming internal networks, but what are you doing to progress someone's career within the industry? What are you doing to retain them? What are you doing to support them? Those kind of areas.
Wow. And in your last few years of even running this, what has been your favorite moment? I know there's going to be a lot more in the coming years, but what has been your one favorite moment you still look up to with this?
For us as an organization, I think the most surreal moment was being invited to Downing Street to meet the Prime Minister, which was absolutely crazy because we were awarded the points of light. So the points of light is an award that recognizes voluntary work and community work of individuals that kind of have a positive impact on society.
Yeah.
And this was presented to us. We took a team down to Downing Street. We had discussions with the now previous Prime Minister of the UK.
Yeah.
And it was just a surreal moment. And obviously we got some advice on how to kind of support ourselves and how to kind of keep going and keep that belief within the organization.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah, definitely a mad moment for us. And
Oh,
this year as well, obviously, we've been down to the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. We
yes.
ran a community hub. The team were on stage. I couldn't attend. I had another appointment, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
the team were on stage at Silverstone. And to imagine that we only have been going since April 2023 to now, we're in 2024,
Yeah.
to be on the stage at Silverstone, sharing, how we're driving change within the industry and giving those insights to what lived experience is like, as well as supporting the community, was phenomenal. So yeah, really, really proud of the team
Yeah.
and everyone involved, because it's not just, like you say, the leaders of Driven by Us. It's everyone, it's the community. So yeah, definitely some proud moments.
And I think you guys are Lewis Hamilton's, I think, good. He won when you guys showed up. So I think you guys are his good luck charm.
Yeah, that was mad. It
Oh,
was quite strange being on the other side.
Yeah.
So being at Silverstone, watching the race on the fold, everyone was going absolutely crazy. Obviously, we're still obviously passionate about.
We're still hungover by a race win.
Yeah, definitely. But no, it's just fantastic to see him on the top step again. Him and the whole team work super hard. And the individuals that I still keep in contact with at Mercedes, and it's really, really proud moment for them, and obviously Sir Lewis and his family, just to kind of have that strength, the inner strength and perseverance to keep going against adversity and people saying, oh, you're not able to kind of be there anymore. So no, it's a fantastic effort by everyone. Obviously F1 is very, very fast moving, high pressure, changes week by week, minute by minute. So no, everyone done fantastically there, and it's just a dream to kind of witness that.
It's iconic. And last question of Q1. This is more about giving advice to upcoming engineers who want to enter motorsport. It doesn't even have to be F1, but the whole world of motorsport. What advice would you give someone, whether it is to get involved within Driven by Us or just outside of it, whether they're international? What is that one advice you would give them to help them take that next step and enter the world of motorsport?
Yeah, so my top advice would be to volunteer your time, see how you can support a team or a lower level motorsports organization. Typically, if it's a weekend, go down to a track, get involved. If accessibility is an issue, in the UK and overseas, lots of car garages where you can go and get experience, pop in one weekend, see if you can just help out on the spanners, get practical, develop those skills, develop learning about what it is what it takes to kind of build a car, any kind of side projects you can kind of do to kind of boost your CV that can reflect yourself having a career in motorsports. If it's engineering, if it's more media based, probably something more creative. Obviously, there's lots of content creators out there doing something different that stands out from the crowd. So those would be my top tips, and also have that longevity as well. So obviously, it's great if you do a college and do an apprenticeship or go to university and you get your job straight away. Absolutely brilliant. But if it takes you longer, it's not an issue. As long as you have that long-term vision and that mindset of you can believe in yourself and get there, then taking 5 years, 10 years, it's no problem at all. As long as you have that belief, and also having that person around you, whether it's a family member or guardian or friend, just having someone that can believe in you, that can kind of push you along the way. They don't necessarily have to know what your career is that you want to pursue. Growing up, my mum didn't know what an engineer was. Just like I've tried to enlighten her now. She's a bit old fashioned, but no, it's typical African family: doctor, lawyer, engineer, and
that's all you get.
Yeah, that's what you get. Yeah, you don't know how to get into those roles. You've just been told doctor, lawyer, engineer. Okay, I'll take it from here. Read a book, or but no, it's all about finding that someone that can help you and guide you on your way. And hopefully, with the Driven by Us community, there's lots of personnel within there that can obviously be that driver and support you. Obviously, we can't promise jobs straight away, but with our links and the people within the organization, in the community, at these various teams, they can kind of progress the career of individuals that way.
Yeah. Well, James, I think you just got your first purple sector. That was fantastic answers. Super excited to delve into your personal life in Q2. We're just going to take a short break.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
We're right back at it.
Awesome.
Stay tuned. Hey, sorry for interrupting this episode, but we got to tell you about this amazing app that's been a real game changer for building credit called Kickoff. We've all been in a situation where we got denied a loan or an apartment due to having poor credit, but there's hope. Kickoff is changing the game, making credit building super accessible and super easy. When I first found out about Kickoff, I was amazed by how straightforward it was to sign up and choose a plan that fit my budget. In just minutes, I was all set. And guess what? I started seeing difference in my credit so fast. Here's the best part though. Kickoff isn't a line of credit for spending. It's dedicated to just helping you build your credit. And if your starting credit is under 600, users have seen an average boost of 28 points in just the first month. It's a legit, no stress way to grow your credit with no catches, no interest, and no hidden fees whatsoever. What makes Kickoff so effective, you might ask? It's affordable, super easy, and works fast. You can start building your credit right away for just $1 in your first month. And with AutoPay, Kickoff takes care of everything, so you never miss a payment. Essentially, you're building credit while you're asleep. You can sign up in minutes straight from your phone. There's no credit check, and you can cancel anytime. Build your credit fast with Kickoff, the best credit building plan to jumpstart your credit. Get your first month for $1. That's 80% off the normal price when you go to getkickoff.com/tracklimits today. That's Kickoff without the C, get KIKOFF.com/tracklimits. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/tracklimits to activate the offer. Offer applies to new Kickoff customers first month only, subject to approval. Average impact of 28-point increase in the first month based on Equifax Vantage Score 3.0 changes for Kickoff customers with starting credit below 600 who made their first on-time payment between January 2021 and March 2024. Payment and credit activity outside Kickoff can have an impact on your credit. Terms and conditions may apply. Offers subject to change. Individual results may vary. Hey everyone, welcome back to Sector 2 with James. Super excited. We're about to delve right into his personal journey, whether it's engineering, as a CEO. But the first question is we're going to take you back into your childhood. Tell us, were you always interested in motorsport? Were you always even wanting to be a driver, or something so unrelated that somehow got you into motorsport?
So I've always been interested in motorsport from a young age. I used to go downstairs and put the VCR on and record it in early mornings, whether it would be Australia or Japan. Typically in like early 2000s, it was Australia, the first race, and it was really, really early start. So I used to come down, record it, and then watch it later when I was a bit more awake. And that was always piqued my interest. It was kind of like it's a really cool sport. I didn't ever click that you can work in the industry. But no, I always enjoyed it as a hobby. Growing up, I used to collect Real Robots magazines, which is like a bi-weekly magazine where you build a robot. And I was always fascinated with how things work and how the mechanics behind them. I got a bike for my 10th birthday. And I used to always like take the wheels off and take the chain off and just see how it works and then put it back together. And just like cause havoc really in terms of like building things and putting things back together. Kind of like reverse engineering without actually knowing you're reverse engineering in terms of how things work. So definitely kind of always been interested in how things work, not necessarily know that I wanted to go into cars or motorsports. The pinnacle moment or the click moment, as you say, is probably 2009, quite late. I was working at BMW at the time, going down to Brooklands for a free open day. McLaren F1 were there. They were there with their team, and they brought down a championship winning car. It was driven by Sir Lewis Hamilton at the time, and that was kind of like my first insight into, wow, there are jobs in this sport. You can be on the other side. How'd you get into it? So that's where I started to investigate. Right, I want to work in this industry, but it's going to take a long time. And that was like the light bulb moment to kind of see people working behind the scenes on a car, not knowing what they did, but just kind of like, okay, that person's putting the tires on, that person's got a laptop, that person looks like he's something to do with physiotherapy, because I was quite keen on always doing physiotherapy and helping people. But no, that was kind of like those moments that led me to kind of wanting to pursue a job in motorsports.
Wow. And so being a driver was not on the cards growing up.
Well, I did karting at
Yeah.
university, so
Nice.
I did that quite late, to be really honest. So
Yeah.
like, again, karting accessibility, you've got to start really young.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I had no idea about karting. It was kind of like you did it for someone's birthday party, but obviously when you're 18 at university, you've got a karting championship, which I participated in at Coventry University, but that was probably all I did.
Yeah.
And then just do it as a hobby with friends.
Nice. And honestly, let's take you through that transition period between you being in engineering, leaving, and starting your own project. First of all, what was that moment like where you said, I think I'm done with engineering for now. I want to try something else? Was there a moment of a few months, a year where you had to go through that transition and had to reset your mind and say, I'm about to embark on a new journey? And what was that like for you?
So I think in my mind, because we were talking about doing something in the background, I think it was from 2022. I was working with an organization called AFBE. They specialize in engineering overall across the whole sector, not just motorsports. And fortunate enough to have the blessing from their co-founders to kind of like, right, we want to do something similar, but in the motorsports space, because there isn't anything like it. And it went from there really. At the back of my mind, I was like, right, career progression. Let's see how I can get trackside, be an engineer trackside. Fortunately, that didn't progress, and I was like, right, okay, that's probably the moment where I need to kind of step out, try something new, and see how I can help other people get into the industry. So I've always been passionate about helping people. It's just what it looked like was a bit unknown, and then obviously having a community-led volunteer organization which can support others, specifically from minority backgrounds, into the industry was key. So having that vision in terms of creating something based on a blueprint and template which has been there before, but on a different level through the networks and contacts that I know over the last 13 years of working in motorsports. So I didn't really feel as if I was leaving motorsports. I feel as if I was just changing direction in terms of, right, we've done this now. Right, what's the next thing? Okay, we can help other people get in the industry, still in engineering and still kind of networking and communicating with those key personnel within the industry to kind of change the narrative of what the industry should look like. Obviously, we had the Hamilton Commission back in, I think it was released July 2021. I participated in that back in, I think it was quite a long time ago now, December 2020. So that was kind of where the research phase was going on with Royal Academy of Engineering at the time, and very very lucky to be part of that. And I think the content was used online, and I think it's still online now, so you can hear me talk about my journey there as well in the industry. But no, the light bulb moment was kind of like helping others, transitioning out, but also staying in a space of motorsports and engineering.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't want to butcher this, but you've also been awarded UK's top 100 future leader role models for 2 consecutive years. Tell us about that. First of all, what does that mean to you specifically? And does that even energize you to work even harder because you're being recognized year after year for all the hard work you guys are doing?
So it's a bit surreal being like recognized, because I don't really think about myself in that way. I always think about other people, and a good friend of mine has said, how can you always support someone till their problem is solved? So kind of taking that ethos, obviously trying to kind of be that within the industry of motorsports for the diverse talent into it. So when you're recognized, I see it as a collective effort. With the award you're talking about, I think it's more like you say of how hard you've worked within those organizations to kind of set the initiatives up, or having an influence on change, I think would be how I would sum that up.
Yeah. And can you even share some success stories you guys had within Driven by Us, where you have taken an individual that had the skills, the assets, everything needed, and you guys were able to bring them into whether it's a team or a position that was the right fitting for them?
Yeah, certainly. So there's a gentleman who I was mentoring, I think all the way back from 2021, and he just finished or was going through university at the time. He's now finished, obviously, but he didn't have any kind of experience in the motorsports in terms of practical experience
Yeah.
and what it looked like to kind of get that experience. So I helped him to get a placement
Wow.
in terms of working weekends for a lower level Formula 1000 team
Yeah.
at weekends, where you're volunteering your time, working for free, but typically teams will cover your travel and accommodation. That's how it typically works in the industry of
Amazing.
motorsports.
Yeah.
And then that kind of progressed into them having him for a year paid.
Yeah.
And then the opportunity progresses into other opportunities. So he went away, did his final year, and now he's working at High Tech GP3 as a race engineer. So that's happened from just the last year, just gone. So it shows the progression if you keep going. So that was what we're in 2024 now. So 2021. So a 3-year period, you from not having that experience into motorsports, being patient, taking your time with it, to now working at a very, very significant level of motorsports. Obviously, it follows Formula One around the world, and also other championships. So it's kind of phenomenal to see, and that's just, like, say, one story. There's a young lady who has recently done work experience at Extreme E. We also like to focus on sustainability and the environment. The next generation is very conscious about that. So it's something we're passionate about with our partners that we work with. So she's done a work experience at Extreme E, and that's now going to hopefully go on to further working as an intern as she progresses her career. That she wants to work in the media communication sector. So a couple of good success stories there.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think everyone would want to know, what does your day-to-day look like? As a CEO of running a massive organization, what does that day-to-day look like for you?
It's quite hectic. It's quite hectic. So my day-to-day, typically, I do some contracting on the side. Obviously, the organization doesn't make profit for personal use. The money that it takes in, it goes back into community and various activations, programs, and events that we run. So I do a contract job. Typically, it's flexi hours at the moment. So typically 9 to 5. I then focus on Driven by Us in the evenings. And then I also have a young family, so I've got 2 little ones at the moment. And to spend time with them. So it's literally non-stop, continuously. But I'm very fortunate to have a fantastic team around. We all chip in, we all kind of support each other, back each other, hold each other to accountability as well. So my days are pretty much from 9, not even 9, because I got to do the school run in the morning. So it's 7:30 to probably about 10 or 11 o'clock at night every day. Weekends are obviously filled with kids activities, but obviously some weekends I am traveling, whether it would be like early in the year, like going up to Extreme E or supporting Silverstone, are 2 of the items that have come up this year. So it's a pretty action-packed day. My phone's constantly going off, so I've got to mute it sometimes or turn it off and just prioritize.
Let's wrap this episode.
Definitely. If there's like family time that's needed, that I need to prioritize that. If there's the contract job I'm doing at the moment, then focus on that for a bit. But no, the contract job gives me flexibility to give time to Driven by Us as well. And no, it's fantastic at the moment. Really, really good.
I mean, I think you kind of crushed the next question, which was what other hobbies you have, but it seems like your life is so busy. Do you even participate in things that you enjoy, whether it's hobbies? I know you said you went karting with friends, but do you have anything that is outside of motorsport?
Yeah, so I'm quite into cycling. So I do a bit of cycling as well, in the mornings or typically weekends when it's less busy, which is quite nice. Play some football as well, some soccer. It's really, really cool. So it's nice to have like that getaway to kind of have your own time and reset your mind and then come back to what you were doing.
Yeah. Honestly, James, you crushed Q2. That's another purple sector. The next one, though, is very challenging. We have the 5 round coming up. This is where we stump a lot of our guests. I don't know if you're ready. Are you ready for it?
We'll see. Awesome. Let's go.
Perfect. We'll be right back with a short break. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to this episode with James. We're right into the 5 round. He, off camera, told me he's ready. So let's see. Let's see. First question. Which platform would you delete out of the bigger platforms out there?
I think X straight away. Yeah. Like, I can't stand it. I deleted it in 2017, actually.
And you've never been back?
No.
Wow. I applaud that. Most unpopular opinion you have?
Unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
I like Avril Lavigne's music.
Okay. Do you think she'll ever make a comeback?
She's touring at the moment.
Yeah.
She was at Glastonbury.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This was a few weeks ago. Or, yeah, the last 2 weeks ago. Next question. What's your go-to comfort food after such a long day?
Such a long day. Go food, comfort food. I think just a bag of popcorn.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I should restructure this. A meal. Let's say a meal.
Meal.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not a dessert or a snack.
Snack.
Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah.
If it's a Friday, fish and chips.
Okay, see, I can take that one. If you woke up and realized you've become Sir Lewis Hamilton, what's the first thing you would do?
Jump in an F1 car.
Now, do you think you'll crash it, or do you think you'll actually complete a full lap?
It's quite hard. It's quite tough. You got to get all the metrics right when you're driving. I think it'll be quite hard. I think I'll make it out the pit lane.
Just the pit lane.
Yeah. I'll probably spin it on the first corner.
Oh God. Next question. Favorite vacation destination?
Probably Portugal, Algarve area.
Yes.
Really nice. So I
Yeah.
go there with the family quite a bit. I've been the last few years, and it's just nice and peaceful next to the coastline.
Yep.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Sunny as well.
Yes, sunny. That's something London doesn't have, but that's a different topic. Outside of work, what's your favorite addiction or obsession that you currently have?
So I like going to the theatre when time permits.
Yep.
So going to the theatre, watching like live performances, really nice to kind of have that close proximity to the stage and seeing what's going on and just immerse myself in that with the family.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, next question. The best or boldest prediction you have for the 2024 F1 season?
McLaren to win the Constructors' Championship.
Oh, I mean, it's looking like it right now. Oh man, that would be a good bold one. If you were trapped in an elevator with a current F1 team principal, who would it be and why?
Probably Toto.
Yeah.
Because his aura is really welcoming, and how he structures his day to day is something to kind of aspire to, and just how he emits his positivity and his feedback to his team, as well as the media is great. Really direct. I like the directness and how you can kind of communicate and say what you want to say clearly.
Yeah.
Definitely Toto.
Okay. Next question. What's the most embarrassing or funny moment you had at a race weekend?
Oh my God. Oh man. Well, half the paddock know this anyway.
Oh, okay.
So 2017. Oh my word, I can't believe I'm saying this. 2017 Brazil. So typically when you finish at the track, obviously you pack up, you go away. The next day you come down in your travel kit to kind of go on a coach and then go back to the airport. So I actually came downstairs in the lift with my my team kit ready to go to the track, and I was like, right, let's go. Where we going? And then by the time someone saw me downstairs, I went back upstairs, got changed, and it spread. So we're at the airport in the queues. Everyone's like, "Where's your team kit? Where's your team kit?" You go to the track. So I've never ever lived that one down.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a painful memory. Brazil 2017.
I could already the rumor mill, knowing the paddock, everyone knew by then. Last question. You're writing an autobiography on your life. Which of these titles resonates best with you? We got the Daredevil, the Dreamcatcher, the Free Spirit, or the Hardest Worker?
I don't know. It's between the two. Like, obviously you have to work hard, but I think the dream catcher, but once you reach your dream, you change it. So, maybe you keep the hard work continuing. So perhaps the dream catcher, because obviously worked in motorsports, worked in automotive, worked in Formula One, and then now the next step is to help other people. So the dream catcher, I think, will be suitable.
Yeah. James, I think that's a purple sector and a pole position. We haven't had a lot of those, so congrats there. There's one more question we'd love to ask our guests before we wrap up the episode, which is, when it's all said and done, what's your legacy? What do you want to leave behind?
I think leave behind the Driven by Us community and just have that longevity of a community that's going to be there for a long time to support other people, whether I'm there or not. Is the lasting impact, and that go-to community as well for all the teams, whether it be F1 or whether it be lower levels of motorsports. I think everyone thinks of motorsports F1 and pinnacle, but there's so many other levels which obviously no one considers. Obviously you've got NASCAR, IndyCar, you've got Extreme E, you've got Formula E, so many categories which, you know, we can support
Yeah.
as a community through our network and our contacts.
Wow. And that's amazing. James, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you very
this
much.
podcast. And for our fans, please go and support Driven by Us. It is an amazing organization that's doing a lot within the motorsport world. We'll leave their socials here or down below. Make sure you go follow, support, and do anything to make sure that Driven by Us becomes a pioneer organization within the motorsport industry. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.